Hello everyone. In the last session, we have seen how the Docker file works and we have seen all the commands of Docker file. With Docker file, we have created while creation of the .NET project, .NET Core project. This file got created because while creation of the .NET project, we have enabled the Docker. So hence this file got created. We have seen how this step-by-step and multi-stage build will happen, how the multiple images will be created. In detail, we have explained in the last session. So if you are new to this video, I prefer to watch the previous session that will show how this Docker commands will work and how we are writing this Docker Docker file commands we have seen. So in this session, we are going to see how we can create a Docker image from this Docker file. So with this Docker file, we are going to build a Docker image for this .NET project, whatever we have created. So we will see how we can create a Docker image for our .NET project. So before that, just open the command prompt, and in this command prompt, we have to point to the Docker file where our Docker file exists. So our Docker file, it exists under Visual Projects and Docker Demo project. The Docker file is there under this project, Docker Demo project. So where is your Docker file? This is your Docker file. So before creation of the image and before running the Docker command, the Docker engine should be running. So in the background, so you see, I have opened the Docker desktop and Docker engine is running. So I should be able to run the Docker commands against this Docker file. So how you can run the commands? First, you have to point to the Docker file point to the Docker file. That means in which folder your Docker file exists. You have to point to that folder. Okay, so now before that, one small change you need to do, because this Docker file is automatically generated with your .NET Core project. So hence this .NET Core project, how it got generated means it is copying from your Docker demo folder, the CS project and all. Where is your CS project? It is CS project. It is there under Docker demo folder. So it is got created. If you see the path, this copy path is very important. You are copying one folder up. That means you are taking docker demo.cs project from one folder up. So you are copying from that folder. So that is the reason you need to paste your Docker file where your solution exists. Okay, so you need to change that path because you are copying from one folder up, that CS project. So that is the reason you need to move that Docker file one stage up. So otherwise what happens, it will not identify the Docker file. If you want to run the Docker build command in the same folder where initially it got generated Docker file, if you want to run the command with the same place, then you need to remove this Docker demo one path, this path. When you are telling copy from this folder to this folder, you need to remove this Docker demo. You have to just mention Docker CS project, because that time what happens, your Docker file and also your CS project in the same path. So that is the reason you no need to mention this extra path. So if you are not removing this extra path, you have to move this Docker file to where your solution exists, so that your Docker file can identify. See, your Docker file is under this folder. In this Docker file, how you are copying the CS project. Where your CS project is there, Docker demo folder. So it will go to the Docker demo folder. In this, it will take this CS project and it will copy to this folder. So I am not changing this path. So I am keeping how the Docker how our .NET Core project has generated the file. The same file I am keeping. Only thing I am changing the Docker file place from Docker folder to where your solution exists, so that it can identify the paths and it can work properly. So another change, if you are not changing the path of your Docker file, another change you need to make, you need to remove this copy dot to the after work directory. That is another change you have to make, because the work directory you have to mention again one folder up. So that is another reason you need to change. So okay, so now to say once again, just to point out more, like I am not changing any commands of Docker file which is generated from the .NET Core. I am not changing any commands. Whatever the .NET Core has given the Docker file, everything I am keeping as is. The only thing I am changing the Docker file position from inside this one folder. I am just one folder up. I am moving one folder up. I am just removing the Docker file from this Docker demo folder. I am just keeping the Docker file where my solution is exists. So that is the only change I made. So because this Docker file copying the path from one folder to from server or host folder to your image folder and image container folder, how we are copying while creation of an image multi-stage build, when we are creating a multi-stage images, when you are building a .NET Core project image, these paths are very important. So I moved Docker file to the Docker demo solution where it exists. Now I will copy the path where my Docker file is exist. I just copy this path. I'll go to the command prompt. I'm going to the command prompt. I'm changing the path of my project where my Docker file is exist. Now the command I will now I am pointing to the Docker file path. Now I am going to build the Docker image. So Docker, the command what you have to give before running the command, you make sure that your Docker engine is running, otherwise you will not be able to run your Docker commands. So Docker build, then I am giving -t. So this is the tag I am giving. So that the image which I am creating, the image .NET Core project image which I am creating, it will give you a tag. I am generating a tag. That is why I am giving a the tag name as -t Docker first demo, something, whatever the tag name. If you want, you can just give the tag name. So Docker build -t, then dot. Why? What is this dot means? It is pointing to the, it will pointing to the Docker file. I am just telling the when I say dot, I am telling to my command like dot Docker file, it is exist in the same path whatever I am mentioning here. So you no need to mention file path where your Docker file exists. Just click on enter. So it should be able to generate the Docker file, Docker image. So this image, how it is creating, based upon the command, it is just generating the image. So your image got generated. Let us see whether image is there, exist or not. So what is the command you will use to see whether the Docker image is created or not? Docker images. That is the command you can see. So now you should be able to see your image which we have created. If you see here, Docker first demo, the tag name which we have given, created in the repository Docker first demo, and the tag name is latest. So that means it will take the latest as tag name, and it is taking the Docker demo as a repository. You are getting right. So now if you see, you may be asking one question to me like -t Docker demo we are giving as a tag, but it is not created tag, but it is created a tag as a latest. So the tag, how it works means, whatever, if you are just mentioning a only name of any name, if you are giving here after -t, it will just consider it as a repository. So that is why Docker first demo, it has taken the repository. So this is the repository name you have given. If you want to give the tag, you have to give the syntax. Like the syntax is very important. You need to give the name ::1.2 or whatever the tag name. So this is the tag. So how it will just create means, when you say -t, the repository name and :tag you need to mention. If you are not giving colon and the name tag name, if you are not providing, Docker it will consider you are giving only repository name. It will take that repository name, and tag it will consider it as a latest tag. So now what I am telling to the Docker, so you build a Docker image where my Docker file is exist, all the commands I have written in the Docker file, you just build it, and with that what I am asking is, you take this tag name :0.1 is my tag name, and whatever this Docker first demo is the repository name I am giving. So when you click on enter, now we should be able to generate a Docker image with another tag. Now if you run the Docker images command, it will display all the Docker images. See now the old one, whatever we have given latest we have not mentioned anything. That is why that time the Docker image got created with the latest tag. So now the Docker image is got created with a .1. You see, Docker first demo is my repository name I have given, :1 I have given. So that is the reason it has clearly created Docker file with the .1 command. So hence you are able to see this Docker image with the .1. If you want to create .2 tag, you can just mention the tag number. So repository name, the syntax is, the tag syntax is repository name : the tag name. So it should be able to create. Now see, .1 I created, .2 another image I created with the repository. Which is the repository name? Docker first demo is the repository name. Okay, so this is how it works. Docker image we can create with this Docker build command with the dot and -tag which we can give. So today we have seen how to create a Docker image with the Docker file of .NET Core project. In the upcoming session, we will see how we can create a Docker container with this Docker image. We will see in a great details in the upcoming session. If you have any comments or if you have any feedback, please feel free to share it in the comment section box. Thank you.